Hi everybody, you're listening to the Khandaan podcast by the You Podcast team, a bi-weekly podcast revisiting the movies of Amir Khan, Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan.
Every show we pick a random year from 3 decades of collectively 300 films the Khans have done and let our listeners vote which movie we should talk about. So it's entirely up to you.
Pick a team, make a vote, take us down nostalgia lane, punish us, or make us reassess a movie we dismissed.
We love the Khans, most of us, sometimes. And we would love for you all to be part of our Khandaan, because when it comes to the Khans in Bollywood, nothing else really matters.
Hi everybody listening and you guys. I feel we're like, because we have no guests this episode, we've like done no effort. Like, Aga Ambas, that's it. You know, like take it from here. See how this show goes.
I mean, it's the same for me every week.
Nothing has changed.
I've done my bit of preparation. जितना हो सकता है उतना किया है. इतना पैसा में इतना ही मिलेगा.
Oh God. Actually, that's a good tie-up to what I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit, about the paisa. So I think we did this last week and we're going to do it this week again. From now on, we're going to start doing this. We're going to split up the episodes. So, like, the first part is going to be just us talking about the things we've watched and any news articles people send us that they want us to discuss or anything newsworthy like we usually do. Trailer reviews, things like that. And then the second episode will usually be released like, I think, 4 or 5 days later. And that will then be the movie review. And I think there's 2 reasons we're doing this. A, it just kind of like spreads our workload a little bit. And I think people like having a podcast every week instead of, you know, having it like every other week. And it honestly also helps us in terms of, getting more featured in places and SEO and stuff that none of us 3 understand, but it seems to be kind of the way forward. And I think, coming back to the Pesa part, we're all kind of like, you know, we're funding this ourselves. We're not getting paid by anybody, you know, and it's a competitive landscape for podcasting now. Like, it's like every celebrity has a podcast. And, you know, when You Podcast started like 11 years ago, like it was like the Wild West, like there was nobody around. And to be competitive, and we're not doing any Patreons, we're not doing any Kickstarters yet. But what we really appreciate is, you know, our fan support and, you know, our fans and our listeners spreading, you know, the word and kind of letting other people know and leaving us reviews, sending us feedback. And that's really what gets us going and keeps us going. And I mean, I think we all have to admit it's been tough, right? Like Amrita, Sujoy, it's been like a tough 7 months, and also just podcasting is general, like creating content in general is not, like, it's not like 80% fun, right? It's like 60% fun sometimes. So it's kind of like striking that balance. What do you guys think?
No, it's hard work. I think we're lucky in that we have 3 people and we generally like to hang out with each other. And therefore, like, that's easy. And also, like, I think it helps that we're generally just laid back in a lot of ways, because I always come across all these film dudes on Twitter and stuff who get like really personal when people disagree with them, you know? It's like, how dare you not like agree with me 100%? And I don't think we are those kinds of people. Like, it's a pretty healthy discussion. And I think if we hadn't been able to achieve that, if we hadn't been the kind of people who are willing to just let other people have their own opinions, I don't think we could have handled these past, like, 7 months, is it? Like, has it been 7 months? I'm afraid to count.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what it sounds like, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, generally speaking, I think difficult people are all right as long as, you know, the world is a better place. But over the past few months, it's been hard, even for people who don't have to worry about rent or about, their next meal or whatever. Because I know there are like tons of people who are much worse off than we are. But even with our privileges and like, even with the fact that, knock on wood, our lives have been mostly fine. I think even with that, like if we hadn't had this space to just sort of have each other and not give each other a hard time, I think it would have been impossible to keep this going. So yeah, I just want to like give a big shout out to everybody that listens and everybody that talks to us and, like meets us on Twitter and is just generally kind, because kindness is like in such short supply in every field, I feel. And especially over the past few months, it's just, I think we just need to be kinder to each other. And I'm so grateful for everybody that's reached out and said like really lovely things to us. I really appreciate it.
Especially this week, the Katrina Kaif fan army. Like, guys, you guys have been amazing. Like, I think we did the Doom 3 episode with Matt and Aaron last time, and we were just like, I mean, at least I was just talking how, like, I genuinely like Katrina Kaif on screen, and I think, like, she has such a passionate following for somebody who's not on Twitter, and is not problematic at all, like Katrina Kaif, right? Like, I'm just kind of thinking about it. It is just kind of a lot of positivity, and we got so many shares and retweets, and I'm not even sure these people actually listen to the podcast, but it was really like heartening what they were doing, and I thought that was like really, really cool.
Just the mere mention of our Queen Katrina is good enough.
We got some really cool reviews and emails from people. We're going to read some, and I think if you guys want to drop us an email, do that. We always love hearing from you. It's at youpodcasting@gmail.com. I'll read the first email I got. And Amrita, did you get the other one? Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna edit while talking, so I don't want anybody to have their personal details on a show like this, because that can be something. It's the internet after all, right? So yeah, superfan CJ here. Just wanted to say that I have gotten so many of my friends hooked on Khandaan. See, be like CJ, guys. That's what you need to do. And they all send love to you. You guys are a huge source of laughter, mostly me, during the COVID times at work. I heard new and old episode every day walking to and from the hospital during the pandemic. With all our empty roads and shopping malls in England, it continues to be my stress reliever, and I have got a couple of other Desi NHS workers loving it too. How amazing is that, man? Like, I feel Khandaan is like saving lives with like, the kind of, we're doing it. It's not even the NHS workers. Wow. Also, I'm taking all the credit. Also wanted to inform that I absolutely adored the Chak De episode with Sucharita. I think we all did. Was such a lovely addition to your triad, and her technical knowledge was so much fun to hear. Please get her on again. Another guest I adored was Pitu during the Mela episode. Keep up the great work, and not looking forward to the Ajay podcast, but we'll still hear it. Much love. That's
Nobody wants an Ajay podcast.
And CJ has written before, and I think I always love hearing from her, and this really boosts me, I get that, and I forward it to Sucharita, I forward it to you guys, and I think it just kind of lifts our spirit, and I think I'm really, really appreciated from these like positive emails.
I'm all melted and mushy inside right now reading that review.
Thanks, CJ. Yeah. I'm glad that we were able to like lift your spirits, and you've done the same for us. So thanks.
And I think I got a lot of people asking for Pitu. Pitu will definitely be coming back. She has nowhere else to go. She has no choice. If she
wanted to go, we'll probably grab her and bring her on the podcast.
Exactly. She's been many times on when she didn't want to watch the movie. So she's gonna definitely come back.
And she's a jhuti. Like, she definitely wanted to watch the movie, just wanted to blame everybody else for the poor choice of the movie.
And Sucharita was great too, and I think we've had quite a few high-profile guests, and it's been always wonderful. I think we're also fans of these people, so it kind of changes the dynamic. I think we had that with Anna Vetikad, where we're all huge fans of, even Raja Sen and stuff like that, and we have a few other great guests lined up. So that's going to definitely be happening. And, after a while, we'll try to get these people back, so yeah, it's been fun. But I also like just us hanging out, like I like us three. I like that vibe too. So, it's good to switch it up. Amrita, you also had a review, right?
Yeah. So on Apple Podcasts, somebody left a review. The person's name is Mild-Mannered Gamer. And they're from Canada, and they said, such a fun podcast. I love that there are at least 3. Okay, 2. Third has been arm twisted into this. And I think they mean me, and I just want to say I haven't been arm twisted into it. But yes, maybe my motivation for being here is a little bit different because the main draw for me is actually Asim and Sujoy rather than the Khans. But, let's not talk about that. I love that there are at least 3 people out there who want to talk about the 90s movies. And of course, the Khans define the decade. Today, I know that most of their films were terrible or terribly wrong, but I grew up on them. Same here. The best thing about this podcast is that the 3 hosts usually don't agree with each other, and we get to hear all sides in one show. Also, who else is going to make a podcast on films like Love, Mela, and Duplicate? Keep it up, guys. You really get us. You really, really get us. You're right. Nobody else is going to make a podcast on films like Love, Mela, and Duplicate, mainly because they'll have to watch Love, Mela, and Duplicate in the first place for it. So yeah.
Yeah, we're serving a niche nobody asked for, basically. And Sujoy, I sent you a list of new subscribers to YouTube. Maybe you can give them a shout out too.
We've got plenty of new subscribers on our YouTube channel of Khandaan Podcast. So a quick shout out to all of them: Liz Cook, Viral Said, Devansh Baru, Mohammad Shakir, Pradipta Saha, Ali Fiba, Uttam Kumar Sinha, Sartaj Virat, Kurban Anjum, and Yasir Ziddi. Hello and welcome to the Khandaan family. Keep following us and keep listening to our episodes.
And shout out to the YouTube, followers, because we'll be having more episodes of Tolly Folly up soon, where we'll be discussing Byomkesh Bakshy movies. So you want to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Uttam Kumar Sinha definitely has to be a Tolly Folly podcast follower, right? That doesn't seem like to be a Khandaan one, so that's good. We're going to keep at it, but I think we love hearing from you guys. We love getting these reviews, so send these over. And also, let your friends know, anybody who's a Bollywood fan, share the podcast. I think that really helps us too. So let's get going, guys. I watched a ton of stuff. Amrita, let's start with you though. Like, you've been watching a few things, like you've been watching some new dramas, right?
Yeah, but Korean dramas and
But I don't know how far you are in that to talk about it yet. You just kind of mentioned it. How many episodes have you seen of these new ones?
So the Korean drama that I'm watching is called Goblin. I think it's also called The Guardian, which is confusing. But, if you search for one, then the other will show up. And it's I think it's like a fan favorite. Like a lot of people reference it when they're talking about K-dramas. And it's about this guy who was a general in a Korean army, and then like a jealous king had him murdered because he was too popular. And then he becomes a goblin, which I guess in Korean culture means something slightly different than in like Western culture. So he's not like, you know, a little green guy with like, you know, magic, but he's actually some sort of like demigod, and he works as a sort of guardian, but he's sort of sick and tired of his immortal life. And the whole premise of the show is that he's in search of his bride, because his bride is the one who can take away his immortality and free him from this curse, basically, of living forever. So it's a pretty interesting premise. I'm about 2 episodes in, which is like around like 3-4 hours. So it's a lot.
Is this available anywhere on Netflix, or are you watching it your dodgy websites?
No, there's a Korean, like a K-drama website called Viki. And it's not just K-drama. I think there's also like Chinese dramas and like J-dramas and stuff like that. So there's like a subscription model, but this one is actually free on Viki. So if you're trying to look it up, then I highly recommend it. And
is this in a contemporary setting? Because you mentioned kings and generals. Like, is that, or is like? Yeah,
no, it's like it's a contemporary setting, but it's also has elements that are historical. So when they show like his past, and he's also rooming with death, like literal death, and it's a really fun sort of bromance that he has going on with death, and so it's sort of like jumps between timelines. It's really interesting, and K-dramas, you know, they are probably the best production value out of all the dramas anywhere. So like they look like just beautiful movies, basically. So they're definitely like lovely to look at. Yeah.
So many like pretty people
Oh
over,
my
right?
God.
Like I don't watch him like regularly because the problem is like because I feel they require a commitment.
Yes.
You know, like they're very long and things like that. I don't want to jump in something and then like 3-4 episodes it's really not my vibe. And it's also, there's so many different genres, right? It seems like, so I'm always like waiting until I get like a strong recommendation or somebody's really been talking about it, or, you know, my wife already started watching it and then I just kind of jump in the middle. But yeah, I'm always amazed like how pretty everybody looks like.
Oh my God, they're so pretty. I've also been like expanding my Turkish drama stuff. And I was just telling my friends that in the Turkish dramas, like all the leads that are like super hot are like hot in that very like desi douche bro kind of way, you know, like they all have that fuckboy energy going on. And I'm just like, I'm such a desi. I'm just like, ooh, I see why this is so hot.
It's like a lot of shisha bar energy going on.
All of them with like, you know, it's like slow motion shots of like guys with their shirts off and like cascading water. And there's like a lot of bathing for some reason. Like they're all like just bathing each other all the time. It's very like, it's for like a very specific, aesthetic. And that aesthetic is very familiar to, I think, Desis. And I think Desis would like really be into it.
So which show have you been watching?
So there's this one called, it's such trash, Asim. I'm just like, I'm just outing myself.
It's good. If people tend to put you on a pedestal, Amrita, it's kind of nice to, after 73 episodes, pull you down a little. Like, this is the real Amrita.
So there's one called SIYAH BEYAZ AŠK, I think is what it's called, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But I think the English title is Black and White Love, and there's also like a Pakistani dub.
Black and White Love, that's hilarious.
And it's about this hitman who forces this doctor to marry him because she's found out too much about his like murdering ways. So the only way, it makes no sense. But they get married, and then of course it's like an enemies to lovers trope, and it's very successful, I must say. Like, you know, there's like all these Pakistanis and like all these Indians in the comments going like, this is the best drama that I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. And I have to say, it is pretty entertaining. Like, once you get like past the ridiculousness of the whole premise, it's very enjoyable.
Maybe Indian and Pakistani dramas need to just go outside, and then they would be impressive, because they're all like in that same haveli, in the same rasode mein, you know, like they're all in that space in the houses. Go outside, there's horses, there's open air bathing going on, and that will balance things out.
They need more shisha.
More shisha lounge energy.
I was actually kind of like shocked by this particular one, because all the Turkish dramas that I've seen so far are like mostly historicals, right? So I told you, I think in the last episode, that I was watching one called Vatanım Sensin, which means my homeland is you, I think, in Turkish. I'm murdering Turkish all over the place, so if any of you are Turkish and listening, I really apologize. But that was like a really good show. Like, it was about like, you know, this Turkish general who goes undercover and like pretends that he's joined the Greek army so that he can help the Turks out. And then like how it impacts his family and stuff. And it's like a really great, and again, there's like a lot of bathing. Like, all of these are just people taking these really long hammam baths. But, it was like a really good show. And then like obviously I've seen Ertugrul and I've seen Magnificent Century, both the series. And
but you finished Ertugrul? You finished Resurrection already?
I mean, I told you, right? Like my MO is to basically just find characters that I like and then just watch clips of them all throughout, because I don't have the patience to actually sit through like 2-hour episodes of like 150, you know, episodes total. Yeah, like that's just too much.
Because that's what I was surprised about. Like, how can you have already finished that one and then gone to another? Okay, yeah. That makes more sense.
No. I think like Faz is like, hi Faz, but I think like she's like the only one that I know that has like the, you know, the actual patience to sit through like every single episode so far. And
yeah, because she has a thread going on.
Yeah.
And like every time I see tweets on it, I was like, is this thread still going on? Like, how long is this show?
It's gonna go on forever. But like I can't do that. So what I generally do is just like I find a character that I like or a plot point that I like, and I just sort of follow. SIYAH BEYAZ AŠK, the black and white one, is probably easier because it's shorter. Like there aren't like, you know, like 5 million episodes of them. So it goes by pretty fast. And also like most of it is them just making out, which I'm just like, okay, I can't sit through that. But basically I was a bit shocked because everybody in this show is like super modern. So they're all just like drinking all the time and getting drunk and like having all these kids outside of marriage. And I'm just like, this is not a very like, you know, this is not a particularly Islamic way to live life. Like, what are you all doing? Because like all the other shows, they've all been like very like, oh yes, we must be good people. We must be good Muslims. We need to like live like a life of morality. And in this one, they're all just, I guess it's because they're hitmen. So maybe they're just like, you know, no morals whatsoever in anything. But it's like a big hit in Pakistan too. And I'm just like, how are they showing this in Pakistan? Because it's pretty like there's nothing graphic, But like the male lead is getting drunk and he's like killing people, and then, you know, he has like this child out of wedlock, and I'm just like, what is happening?
Amrita, as long as the women are covered up, it's Islamic. That's how it works, you know. That's the rest we can negotiate, you know. Like, as long as your women are covered up, it's Islamic. Chalta hai.
That makes sense, because there's a scene in which like so he marries the doctor, and like one of their first scenes together after marriage, you know, like he tells her to get dressed, and she comes out and she's wearing boots, she's wearing this long skirt, and then she's wearing like this fitted top with like a very slight V-neck, like it's like a wraparound top. And he comes and he's like, my wife can't go out wearing like that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're having sex with some tattoo lady, and you just killed like 5 people in like the first 5 minutes. But like, you know, she's wearing like a top, and it's not even like a deep V-neck or anything. It's like literally like it's a V-neck. Like, that's basically it. But yeah, he's like, no, my wife can't do it. So
yeah. See, that I can explain all of this, you know, like this is very easy. As long as your women are covered up, is Islamic. The rest will negotiate, you know, drinking before, after, shooting somebody, and then you just do the chadar over her head, and you're good. You're good. Chalta. Anything else you've been watching?
Apart from that, let me think. I think I tried to watch some. Oh well, there was the Byomkesh Bakshy movies, obviously, for Tolly Folly, but I think that was about it.
When the episodes are coming out soon, no? Like next week?
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Not all 3 of them, but we will still be recording some more.
Yeah.
Sujoy, what have you been watching?
I've been watching The Social Dilemma. We talked about it a little bit on offline. And I've been watching the Netflix movie Cargo that came out with Vikrant Massey and Shweta Tripathi.
Oh, how do you like
that? So I can appreciate what they've done with the minimal budget that they've got to make this movie, but it really didn't capture my attention much. There's a lot of ideas thrown its way, and the director Aarti Kadaf, she's got like a lot of ideas that she wants to include in this movie, and like a lot of Easter eggs that can be found on repeated watching and everything, but it felt very sterile and empty for me. I didn't really invest in the characters much. So, like, a brief synopsis would be like, it's set in in a space station where Vikrant Massey is a sole astronaut there, and he's like taking care of, I think it's called a post-death transition. It's basically set in a parallel universe somewhere where the Rakshasas, or the demons, and the humans have some sort of a peace treaty, and the demons basically are descendants of Yamraj, and they take care of the whole reincarnation cycle, which is like on paper it's fantastic concept, but the way they've implemented it leaves a lot to be desired. And especially like Vikrant Massey, he's a really great actor. I've seen him in numerous movies, from like Death in the Gunj and Dil Dhadakne Do and Mirzapur as well. He's really good, but somehow his character just feels very one note. And like Shweta Tripathi is also very good, but again, like there's not much excitement or fun that can be I didn't derive any while watching this. I was just like spotting that was the reference they were trying to do and all of that, but they could have done much more. Like they could have really tapped into the whole reincarnation thing, and they do deal with like what it means to die and leave all your memories, but that could have been like the emotional ringing moment, but it didn't happen. So I think there was a lot left out. But with the minimal budget that they got, and they achieved the production quality and the kind of visuals that they managed to put on screen, that's quite applause-worthy.
Yeah, I watched it too. And I kind of share your feelings about it. It's a weird one because I feel I didn't like this movie necessarily, but I do think people should watch this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird feeling I have. And I think the movie demands a lot of goodwill from its audience to make it work.
For sure.
And I think that's also why it's getting quite positive criticism from critics, because I think those are exactly the kind of target it's aiming for. It's very heavy on Hindu mythology, which, you mentioned Easter eggs. I just didn't get it. So there's a lot of wordplay, and I think I was listening to Sucharita's review actually, and she was mentioning this word means that, and that is this, and that had just completely passed me by. I did not know any of that.
Of course.
And I feel catching up later with it is like, I wish I knew, and then maybe the movie could have given me something more, but it just doesn't then, because it just things that go past you. And I think that's a shame. It feels very insular in terms of filmmaking, and I just know I felt left out of it, and I think that wasn't really a cool feeling. And I also don't think the problems with this movie are budget issues. They're writing issues. So I understand that they are working with a constrained budget and things like that. But the problems that I have are kind of the writing and like where it takes you kind of in terms of an emotional arc. And that is where it was lacking,
it never peaks, If there is a build-up, it just builds up to a point, and then the next scene, it just dissipates into something else. And I was like, what was the point of building up to that scene at all? And that's where it fails, I think. But again, like, by budget, I mean, I'm quite impressed with the set design and everything that they managed to do. And especially the whole, because the spaceship has been in the air, like roaming in space for 75 years, the technology on the spaceship is still not evolved enough. So they are still using cathode ray tube monitors, and that's it's clever in that way.
Yeah. It has a lot of clever things in it. But funnily, I watched Cargo, and then I watched also... okay, I'm comparing completely different things, but Valerian and what is it? City of a Thousand?
Luc Besson.
Yeah, Luc Besson's. And I love those. And it was kind of, because last episode we were watching about gonzo blockbusters.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a genre I like, and it kind of came up. So I was watching it. And I know that movie has been just like critically destroyed. I love that movie. And I was just watching it, and because in the first 15 minutes of the movie, there's no dialogue.
Yeah.
And the first sequence is about how, we as human race make this space station.
Yeah.
And at first is like a space station, and then the Chinese come, and then we collaborate, and the space station becomes bigger. Then the Russians come, and the Arabs come, and you see like humanity has evolved. We have peace. And then in 2150, the first aliens come, and the city grows bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And then until it becomes like a huge planetary thing. And I was like, man, I wish Cargo had that. Like that, that
the whole exposition thing didn't really. I think they didn't. They weren't able to establish the universe of it. Like, it got revealed in layers, and that sort of trusts your audience to be invested in it somehow from the beginning. But it's not like that whole setting up the universe should have been done.
Or also knowledge, right? Like okay, you mentioned Rakshas, but I'm not from a Hindu religion, so I'm trying to, transport that to the devil or shaitan or, and it's not the same thing, right?
No.
Like, it doesn't work in the same kind of structures. So it's very hard to understand, like, how do you mean peace, and what does, which world are they coming from? They have superpowers, and a lot of these things just kind of didn't work for me. And I was kind of like, I don't know. I think people should watch it, But I had this, I was reading on Twitter, I follow Virat Nehru, who has, he's a really good, he's a poet, and he has his own podcast, Likhte Raho. And he wrote this really nice thread, which I'm going to add to the show notes. But the part that really kind of stood out for me is that he said, if we follow Prahasta's word, the film asked as much more confronting questions that what we're really afraid of when we die is not the predicament that we might be forgotten, rather the fear that we don't quite know exactly how we shall be remembered. And I think this is like a wonderfully worded thought about the movie. And I'm jealous that I didn't get that, you know? So I've appreciated people writing about this movie and thinking about this movie, and I enjoy seeing other people get joy out of it. And that's why I'm saying, I think you should watch it. It didn't work for me because of the reason that I mentioned, and it didn't work for Sujoy, but I still think also you can, if it hits you in the right spot, if you're in the right space, it can really work for you. And also I think, you know, we should promote these kind of quirkier sci-fi movies that are trying to do different things.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with Carl.
Like, how many sci-fi movies do we get? Like, we are probably waiting for the next Krish movie to be. Like, I think I saw a post on Reddit somehow of the next Krish movie will be about time travel. So Rohit and Jadoo will be coming back. Just a side note for fans of Krish out there.
I want to die already.
Oh, Jesus.
I was just going to say, all my Rakshas and information comes from the 1995 movie Takdeerwala with Venkatesh.
With Kader Khan as Yamraj. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Prahasta is a descendant of that.
Yeah.
That movie was so bonkers, though.
Where else will you find this content, folks? Like,
serving a niche nobody asked for.
Yeah.
Do you want to quickly talk a bit about Social Dilemma? Because I watched that too, actually.
Dear, it totally bummed me out. Like, I do know, like, all the things that were being discussed on that movie or documentary. So it's a Netflix documentary called The Social Dilemma, and it's basically, there is a fictional storyline going, and it's kind of depicting what normal Western families, what they go through with everybody being connected, etc., and how social media plays a role in, you know, polarizing minds and taking advantage of things and stuff. And then parallelly, there are technology experts from the Silicon Valley, from, ex-developers from Facebook and Google and Pinterest and Instagram, all of them, they are trying to make technology more humane, because they've found after so many years, about the role that social media and technology plays in, you know, shaping human opinions. And it's like, I do know, because most of us are, you know, mostly technology, like aware of technology and are intelligent enough to, you know, understand what personal data can be used for. And I know all of this, but it was still very disheartening to see the implications being spelt out in front of me. And it made me rethink how much time I spent on social media, mostly like TikTok and Instagram, and it made me switch off most of my notifications and only keep the ones that are absolutely necessary for me. But again, I have to revisit what absolutely necessary means for me right now. It's I don't know if right now is a good time for people to watch this, because if you are already being triggered by online debates regarding politics and religion and right-wing, left-wing elections and climate change and fake news and all of that, this might be a bit much. But again, at the same time, these are really important questions that one should face.
Amrita, did you watch this documentary? You've probably heard of it, no?
I've heard of it, but no, I heard the description and I immediately knew that this was not the time for me to be watching this.
Yeah. I watched it too, and I didn't like it. I didn't like this this documentary. I watch a lot of documentaries, just generally, and I feel it's... Maybe I'm just being intellectually snooty, but I'm like, I knew all this, and if you didn't know all of this, you're kind of an idiot. Like, that's where I kind of stood. But I also understand there's a lot of people that don't know this stuff, you know, they don't follow it, they're not, you know, they're not, and I think it is kind of aiming for that, segment of the population, maybe younger kids too. That don't
and
know.
It's on a major platform like Netflix, and they are actively promoting it. So I hope the message comes, gets conveyed to the right audience.
But even if the message does get conveyed, I feel the message is problematic. Like, I think it's unclear and problematic. First of all, I have to, this documentary has a lot of talking heads, and then it's also reenactments.
Yeah.
And the reenactments are terrible. Like, they're so bad. Like, they're cringy. Like, it's terrible. Like, you're following this family and how they deal with social media, and it's really, really bad and really, really badly acted. And it also pulls punches. Like, you know, there's one of the younger kids, and clearly they're trying to show that he's becoming kind of a MAGA kind of kid. But then they change the name and they change this kind of settings to make it MAGA, but also make it Antifa. So it doesn't, take a line anywhere. So it becomes like, I mean, we know where the evil lies here, right?
Yeah. I mean, the kid is persuaded into, he's constantly online following, they don't show which political spectrum the talking head that he's following online is from. And then he goes to the protest, and the slogans are very much hazy as well. So you don't really get to see what's happening.
Yeah. And then, so they have that, and then they also have this, they have Pete from Mad Men, who's inside the AI algorithm, and he's evil, and he's feeding them stimulus, and poke him with this, and give him that ad, and we have him. And that was really, really bad. And then also
show don't tell, you know. This is how it happens. Like TikTok mein 3 bacche udhar hai andar phone mein, you know.
And also just having Pete from Mad Men, you know, knowing that he's from Mad Men, advertising now, it's been evolved into an AI. That was kind of a thing. And then also just coming back to the talking heads and the tech bros, right? Yeah. So first of all, they're all pretty much, they've only interviewed white young men that have made their money by creating these terrible products, and now they're like, oh my god, maybe
conscience.
We did something wrong. Oh my god, now you shouldn't do it. We didn't know. I was like, guys, I'm not an idiot, you know. You made your money, and now you're making money by telling people, oh my god, I didn't know, you know. So it just totally sounded false and insincere to me. And the other thing is also there's also good sides to social media. You know, all of us, we became friends because of Twitter, right? And I think a lot of this doom thinking and it isolates people. It isolates minorities. You know, all of these things that are happening with cops, right? If it wasn't shot and it wasn't viral, this has been happening from the start of, you know, cops' existence. But now we have a mean to spread this, and it's not fun to watch it. It's never great, but at least it's a medium, because it wasn't newsworthy before, right?
Yeah.
So that, and then also now, we're all living in lockdown and isolation. So if we totally shut down social media, I think a lot of people might just end up being, you know, depressed. That's another thing, because for a lot of us, that's where our friendships are. And I think, I don't know. I don't have an answer myself. I know I tell you guys when I go on breaks regularly, right? A month long, I'll tell you guys I'm off, and that works for me. I don't know. I don't really believe in regulation from the state, because how would that even work? You know?
Yeah. So that's the problem, that the technology has evolved to a to a certain state where the law is still playing catch up and is going to do so. And until that happens, like oligarchs and whoever is in power and has all the money will be able to take advantage of it. And that's the whole bottom line, I think, that comes from this. And that, like, there was an example on the documentary about Wikipedia versus Facebook. Like, imagine if you are on Wikipedia and you're visiting a static page and you want some information about it, and how would you like if that information has been manipulated in a way that it suits? It's catering you information based on your profile that an algorithm has decided suits you based on your browsing behavior, based on your locality, and based on the people you talk to. So that's where the problem lies, and that's how the role of social media in politics and people forming opinion and all of that comes into play, and that's wrong. That's what they're trying to say.
Yeah, but I think it's also like about regulation. It's tough because like America and the UK, I'm not even going to go to China or Middle East, not even that far, because that's always the easy example. But even between the US and UK, freedom of speech laws are very, very different. Yeah. Like, how would you apply that? You cannot even apply American law to UK law. Like, how would you then do that in China or in the Middle East and stuff like that? And who's going to impose, or punish countries if they don't follow them? It won't work that way. It has to be something else, especially when nations are so fractured at the moment. Like, if we were in a point where, we were coming together as a human race and the UN had actual power, maybe that could be the way forward, but that's definitely not happening in the next 20, 30 years. So yeah, it's kind of a tough situation, and it does need to be individually monitored, and you need to just, not treat social media as a babysitter for your kids. And it's something that I struggle and I wonder a lot, in a couple of years, my daughter will be at an age that she'll want social media, and I will need to navigate how I'm going to do that. Yeah. But I know whatever she does, she's not going to do it alone. I'm going to be with her, and I think that's what needs to happen. But yeah, it's a tough one, but I didn't really necessarily enjoy it, the social dilemma, but maybe it's just not for me,
But I think for me it was like I got a lot of interesting perspectives from what these people are trying to say, and not just the tech bros, but there are like human psychologists and people who have spent years with mathematics as a profession. They were also trying to talk about how these algorithms are so complex that not even the people in Google who are owning these algorithms understand them correctly. These algorithms are so complicated that you would call it intelligence. And we all talk about the singularity, and when the artificial intelligence will be exponentially growing faster than, when it overwhelms human strength. But we forgot to take into consideration the point where it overwhelms human weakness, and that's where the artificial intelligence, it causes it's trying to make people more engaged and watch and keep on watching stuff, and due to that comes the negative side of it, from radicalization and being addicted to social media, being polarized and outraged and all of that. And so it bummed me out.
I think it's bummed Amrita out now too, just talking about it.
Sorry.
This is actually stuff that I went to school to study. So it was literally sitting in class, listening to various people talk and just getting more and more depressed about it. And now it's just in documentary form as well. But I was actually hearing you guys talk about the documentary aspect of it, and I feel like perhaps one of the reasons why this doesn't really work as a documentary as such for you, Asim, might be also because we are living in an age where, you could go to TikTok and you would have people who are able to concisely and effectively explain really complex ideas like political thoughts, economic thoughts, all kinds
under a minute.
Yeah, exactly. And they can do it with music, and they can do it with dance.
Filters.
So it's just, we live in a time where especially the younger generations, by the time like Sophia becomes, a teenager, we'll be living in a world where people are really comfortable expressing themselves on video and have all this experience explaining things, like just creating tiny little explainers. So I'm just really interested to see how the documentary will evolve in this time period, because you can basically go on YouTube today and find some really interesting documentaries written by like video essays that are being delivered by absolute amateurs. And they are, maybe not in production value, but in terms of content and in terms of research and effectiveness, they're probably just as effective as anything that's being produced by, a news organization or a proper production company. So things are going to change.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, there's always some good tips. And I think, Amrita, you have a very good handle on how you manage your social media. So I always like the way you do things is always very smart. And I agree with also what Sujoy was saying. People, you should take off your notifications. I think that's a smart one. Except the podcast one. So you know when Khandaan podcast is dropping. Let's move on. I don't know what else did we do. I mean, I watched Mohra, but I don't think we want to talk about that anymore, right? Like, I mean, are you guys interested in my watch of Mohra?
I don't know. Like a friend of mine and we introduced some like American friends to Tip Tip Barsa Pani. And to say that she was shocked is just so much of an understatement, because she was just like, why is that man in a hair shirt? And we were like, no, that's just Akshay.
He's really in there. Like, he's really in there. Because actually, funnily, that was the reason why I watched this movie, Tip Tip Barsa Pani, because this is like a seminal, sexy song for a lot of like, Desi men of my generation. Yes. And I never connected with it. Like, I was like it's never been my thing. Maybe I could feel Raveena Tandon's bigotry already in the 90s. So I never got it, and so it was on Z5, which I still have a couple of months of subscription to, I hope. Let's see how far it goes. So I just want to watch something like action and stupid, and like I feel we all have fond memories of Rajiv Rai's movies, don't we all? Like, we feel like, don't we? Yeah. And
it feels really like I've watched all of them, but I actually can't say that I've watched any of them completely.
Exactly. And so I was like, let's rewatch Mohra, and it's been a while, and they're going to do the remake, and it's going to be with Katrina, and I'm going to make the statement the Katrina one is better, and then people will hate me, which is all fine, but that's what's going to happen, people. I'm writing it down. But yeah, it's a really awkward song to watch, actually. Like, cause clearly they were like, going out together. That's clear. And like,
no, Asim, to say it in the words that you actually mean, they were banging.
They were banging? Clearly they were banging.
Editing.
I'm trying to be more professional, guys. So they were clearly banging. Akshay's like really putting his nose in her crevices. Like it's really a mess to watch that song. But beside all of that, like the thing that like this movie has really shaped how Indians and like people from the subcontinent think about drugs. And that's like a real big problem, like I think. And as we have seen with the Sushant Singh case in the last few weeks, like it's insane, like the way they think and portray drugs. Like there's like rapes left and right just because somebody took some ecstasy, and it's insanity. Like wow, this was like fed to us as entertainment, and we like lapped it up. And like rewatching it is like, wow, this was a big hit just because Akshay and Sunil Shetty can do some roundhouse kicks, basically.
I don't even remember there being like a drug angle. Like, I just remember Nasir and Shah
just hamming up it.
Yeah. With the big reveal. Yeah. And it's so bad. This movie is so bad. I actually didn't even finish it. I still have like 20 minutes left of it. And I don't think I want to actually. I have other things to do. I'll watch. But yeah, it's a really bad movie. And I was just like, wow. Like, Katrina is gonna rock this song, first of all. And secondly, like, we really put things on a pedestal, and like rewatching it now, it's like, wow. Like, this is still considered one of Akshay's best movies. Which
is it? Makes
me wonder. I think so, yeah. It's definitely up there. I interact with Akshay fans, and willingly.
Yeah.
I interact willingly with
Akshay. I forgot that you were a secret Akshay fan. I forgot.
I am an Akshay fan. Mohra is really bad.
There is a video essay on Just Tip Tip Barsa Pani by a comedian called Zakir Khan on YouTube, and he basically just freeze frames one moment where Ravina is swinging her sari and just doing the dhak dhak move, and Akshay is just coyly shied away and he's smiling, and Zakir Khan's comment is, "Bhai hai to sakht londa, lekin ye dekh ke bhai ki pighal gayi." That's basically the whole movie.
We were so desperate, man. Like, as boys growing up, we're just like, take anything we can. Oh God. And by the way, Ravina Tandon is a terrible actress. Like, she's really, really bad.
Yeah, like, that everyone knows now.
Okay, then we're all on the same page. Like I'm just saying, there was this thing between Charisma and Ravina, but Charisma got better though. Like, Ravina, I feel, did she ever get better?
She made that one movie called Shul, but I think that was it. And in that, she just basically scowled at everybody. I think she called that like acting. But
was that was a rape revenge drama, right? That was the one or not?
No,
that was his.
That was the when the daughter dies, right, with Manoj Bajpayee.
Yeah, that's the one.
Set in with the UP Bihar Lootne Wala song.
Yeah.
I think she won the national award for some Kalpana Lajmi movie called Daman or something. Can't remember.
Yeah,
so that's her like big.
That is the one where she was a politician, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I missed all of that phase then. But she was terrible in the Mohra. Anyway, I don't know. Is there any news or trailers you want to talk about? Did you guys watch anything interesting? Not
just
really,
that
right?
Beyonce Sharma Jayegi one was just hilarious.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I watched the new Khaali Peeli song that you sent us, and that was quite fun, I think.
I really like that. Yeah. So let's do Beyonce Sharma, and then we can do... I'm just going to call her Beyonce Sharma, by the way. That's how I call
Because why not?
Yeah, Beyonce Sharma. So what were your thoughts, Amrita, on Byomkesh Sharma?
I mean, it's just so funny to have like Noni Panday on screen and that line. I can't believe people were like outraging over it, because to me it was just like, how can you not, like, how do you stop laughing long enough to outrage? Because, like, have you seen Beyonce? And then there's like, you know, the tragedy choreography and everything. And poor Ishan, like, Ishan is like one of those weird, like, characters, I feel like, you know. He's like, he has that same thing going for him that Shahid had for a while, where he's like permanently stuck at 17 for like 10 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, he just, it doesn't matter like how many muscles he's got or like what fluff he grows on his face. He's just permanently 17 for like 10 years. And then he like probably age into somebody who's like a little bit more interesting, although that never happened with Shahid. But
I like Ishan. I kind of root for the guy because he's like a bit like Shahid Kapoor, but he also has, remember in Koila there was that village boy that was like dost
I don't remember that.
Dost. He's like combined those two together for me. Like, he has like this like village boy vibe, but then he's also like dances really well like Shahid Kapoor.
But also, like, having Noni dance next to him just made the choreography, like, really awkward, in my opinion. Like, it just went from, like Like he's trying to be like Michael Jackson, and then she comes in, and then you're just like, "Ye kya hai?"
she can't even lip sync. Like she's not there yet. Like abhi anda kacha hai. You know.
She also needs to figure out her eye makeup because she looks permanently startled. Like, you know, like ye kya hai? Like मैं क्या कर रही हूँ? मैं movie में हूँ. Like it's
like somebody posted like a picture of her when she was 6 and now, and I was like, there's no change. She looks exactly the same.
What the hell?
Poor Noni.
Poor her, but she's getting like these good projects and movies, right? Like I'd forgotten she was in Kudi Nu Nachne De. Like she's in there. Like she's there with Anushka and Katrina and the Gaul, you know, like I don't understand like why the outrage went so quickly. It reminded me of that Community episode where Troy goes down to come get some pizza. He comes back and the whole apartment is on fire.
Yeah. This is the darkest timeline.
I didn't understand how quickly it would go. It'd go to colorism, to racism, to this, name change, then dunya, then spelling change, then name change, then apologies. It went so quickly. I was like, wow. I didn't even like get a chance to get outraged. It was so quick.
But like that is so on brand for Noni, you know. It's like nobody can even care long enough to like properly outrage. They're just like, हाँ मुझे भी outrage है, and then they're just like, but I can't be bothered. Like, I'm just gonna move on to other things.
Yeah. I'm just like still kind of on board because this is like Ali Abbas Zafar's first production outside of Yash Raj, and I want this to be something good, you know, like I want, like he's like probably the largest scale Muslim filmmaker in India working at the moment. And I want him to, you know, be able to do a lot of these things. I want him to do that Katrina Kaif superhero movie. But dude, like, put a check on your lyric writers, man. Like, maybe, you know, the Yash Raj machine would never approve lyrics like these. These are like, because the operation is so big, they might have foreseen this might happen. And these guys didn't. And now they have to bear the brunt. And that's why I was thinking like this new song, Tehes Nehes, came out quite quickly to make you forget the other song.
Yeah.
Which is I really like that new song, the Tehes Nehes song. Amrita, did you listen to it or see it?
I haven't seen it yet.
No, you didn't? Okay. Yeah, it has all of the same problems. When you were talking about it, about Naya Naya Panda, I was
actually thinking that she actually watched that song first. And,
yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, Ishan is dancing so well, but Noni Panday can't catch up and all that. I was like,
yeah,
okay.
So it's the same thing. Yeah. It looks so awkward, her side of the things. But, yeah. Would you liked it too, right, Sujoy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very catchy.
I also like just like heroes and heroines dancing together in a go down. Like it had a very like Akhiyan Milao Kabhi Akhiyan Churao vibe to it.
No, I was thinking like when the flashing text comes into the song and they were like ek ladki, ek ladka and all of that. I was thinking ek ladki bhigi bhagi si because it's in that, you know, or Dance Pe Chance.
Wait, I have seen the song. मैं क्या कह रही हूँ? This is how much I remember it. No, I have seen the song. I can't remember the tune though. That's why.
Yeah. It's a catchy one. It's a good one. I think, is it Vishal Shekhar that are doing the music? I'm not sure even. Like, but it's a good one. I like it. I'll be listening to it. Do we want to talk about Kangana versus Urmila? Like, is that something we want to talk about?
I mean, there has been. Let's talk. I'll quickly say that 25 years of Rangila has happened, and everybody's super keen to talk about that, and nobody should talk about Urmila, Kangana.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Everybody should actually check out our Rangila episode, which is super fun, by the way.
Yeah, so that's it for this episode. In, I think, 7 days or 5 days, the next episode will be dropping, which is going to be our review of Dil Chahta Hai. Amrita, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at AmritaIQ, but you can also find me on YouTube, where I do video essays about books, at Amrita by the Book.
Sujoy?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at 9E3K.
Kuch bharosa nahi hai how long he is on Instagram, the way things are going. Follow him now. Be like that, you know, those phones that are selling in America with TikTok preloaded because TikTok is not available, like they're selling. Do that with Sujoy. Follow him on Instagram. And you guys are also dropping episodes of Tolly Folly very soon, right?
Yes.
Which will be on You Podcast Bollywood Edition. I'm at Asim Bernie. Drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. And we'll be back, in 5 days with the Dil Chahta Hai episode. And let me know if you like this new format that we're trying out, if like you absolutely love the other one, we can go back. Although I don't know, I kind of like this one. So, but still, open to feedback at youpodcasting@gmail.com or Twitter at Asim Bernie. Thanks for listening, guys.
Khandaan podcast for acting.